Hey everyone, this is Greg, a Canva Certified Creative, and in this video I'm going to show you over 20 of my super useful must-know Canva tips that are going to really help you take your Canva game to the next level. Everything from my favorite keyboard shortcuts, to how to extend the power of Canva with other free software, to using the new Canva Content Planner to schedule out all of your social media marketing. I think you should really definitely learn something new, and I've saved a few of my absolute best tips for the very end, so make sure you watch the whole thing, or otherwise bookmark this video so you can come back and finish watching it in the future so you don't miss out. The entire video is going to take about 45 minutes, but I've packed it full of value and insights that I've gained from years of using Canva and teaching Canva to others. So thanks for watching, and if you do find this video valuable, I hope you'll consider subscribing to this channel and sharing this video with others so they can experience that value as well. Okay, let's dive in. The first tip is the ability to lock layers. Let's take a look at this example on screen and we'll see why this is extremely useful. Let's say I want to select one of these smaller elements. Well, if I go to select it, it's just automatically going to start selecting this larger rectangle in the background. Really, that part of the design I don't want to select. I'm done with it right now. I just want to protect that. So if I go up to this little lock icon right here, now I can no longer select that. I can no longer move it. I can't change the color. So in essence, I've protected that background element. It also makes it so now I can come and select some of these foreground elements. If I wanted to select and move this tab button, I could do that now very easily. And of course, if you do want to work with a layer again, all you have to do is click on it. You can go back up there and unlock it, and then you can work with that layer again. The next trick is for selecting hidden elements. So there is some hidden text on this page behind this green rectangle, and there are situations like this where you're going to have something that's hidden and you want to be able to get to it. Of course, if I try to click it now, I can only select this rectangle in front, which is actually locked. And I have it locked for a reason because I just want to show you two techniques here. The first is using the tab key. So if you use tab key on your keyboard, it's going to go through the page elements and I can cycle through and I can see that I've selected that text now. So now I could just use my Control plus bracket keys or come up to position and I could pop this forward and now I see it. So that's one way that this works. I'm just going to send it backwards again and show you another method, but this method will not work if this layer is locked. So usually you can just control click on something, and even if it's behind a certain element, you're going to select the element behind with that control click, but it doesn't work with this locked. But if I turn that off now, then we'll see now I can just control click, and then once again I can get to that, and if I want to bring it out, I can shift and bring it out. So again, control click, but just know that doesn't work if you have something that's locked in front of it. And also control click, you have to be clicking right on it. So let's click off this for a second. If I control click up here, I'm not getting it. I have to control click right on the element. So because it's hidden, sometimes that control click isn't going to work, but that tab key will come through and that tab key will find an element for you. So that's tricks for selecting hidden elements. My next tip is just grouping elements. So at the bottom of the page, I have a number of social media icons and text elements, which I have carefully aligned here. So if I moved one individual element, I might screw that up. So a good way to protect that would be just to use a click and drag to select everything. And then you can use this group button up here. And now even if you click off of that, if you click back on, now it's selecting everything as a group. And so if you resize, it's going to resize everything together, and you're keeping all that alignment between elements. Now, if you ever do want to click and work with something individually again, just use that ungroup, and then once again when you click off and click back on, you'll be working with the individual elements. Keyboard shortcuts for that, if you select everything, you can use Control G to group, and you can use Control Shift G to ungroup, and so that's grouping and ungrouping elements, and that's a very helpful technique. Now on mobile, there's not a super intuitive way to group elements, but you actually can do it. All you have to do is do a long press with your finger. So in other words, if I do a long press on turbo, you're going to see that blue flash and it says one element selected. Now suddenly I can select another one, I can select a third one, and then I have that option to group those. And now I have all these elements here. I'll click done. I have them all in a group now, and so now I can move them together. So again, the trick for that, if you want to group multiple things by selecting multiple things on mobile, you have to hold your finger over top of the item, and when you do that long press, you're going to see it flash blue, and then it'll let you select a second element, select a third element, and then you can group them. One of the things I'll mention real quick is that some of the tools that I do mention in this video are Canva Pro tools, and if you're a free user and you're interested in checking out that Pro account, I do have a link below for a special free 45-day trial of Canva Pro. And that is an affiliate link. So if you do end up signing up after the 45-day period, then I do earn a commission through Canva. So it's just another way you can support this channel, but nothing changes for you. And again, that is a 45-day free trial of Canva Pro. So check that link out below if you're interested. My next trick is using the position menu for quickly aligning and positioning elements. So let me show you what I mean. These are all nicely lined and spaced in here. Let me ungroup these first. But let's imagine before I started here that these were sort of in different places all over the place here. And I wanted to come in and I wanted to bring these social media icons into a nice row. So I could individually move them, but it would be much quicker to use that position menu. And you're going to see that position menu whenever you have one item selected or multiple items selected. You'll see it up in this options bar. So if I just were to click and drag across screen to select all these now, then I can come under this position menu and you have a lot of great options here. For example, if I wanted just to space all of these evenly, horizontally, I could do that. If I wanted to align them by their centers, I could do that. And then I brought them together very quickly in a nice row. Now, the one thing I want to say about this menu here is remember that you are going to see different options based on whether you have one or multiple items selected. So if you have multiple items selected, you're going to see those options where you can align and space those elements. But if you're just looking at one element, then suddenly you're seeing the positioning of that element in relation to the page. And to show you what I mean here, if I were to use the left now, it's aligning it with the left of the page. It's aligning it with the bottom of the page. It's bringing it to the center of the page. So those can be very helpful as well, but just know the difference between that and the difference if you select the multiple elements, then suddenly you're positioning those elements in relation to each other. And again, we can do types of stuff where we can space them out, get them just like we want. And again, it's going to space when you do that spacing in between, horizontal spacing, based on the farthest element. So if I were to move these out, and let's say I wanted my alignment to start there, and then if I come under here and I select all these, I can do position, I can horizontally space, and you notice the outside ones don't move. It's the inside ones that space and then create that even spacing in between. And of course I can bring these together. And so just remember this position menu, great way to position and align things quickly. My next tip is just to use Canva keyboard shortcuts to save time. So for adding some basic elements to the screen, there are some keyboard shortcuts. So if I do R, I can add a rectangle. If I just type C, I can add a circle. If I type L, I can add a line element. If I type T, I can add a text element. And then of course you can do other things as well. So let's say, let me change the color of this circle so we can see it a little better. Just move it over here. You can use Control plus your bracket keys to move things up or down in the layer stack. So that Control plus the back bracket to move it backwards. And then if you use that forward bracket, you can move it forward. So very simple things like that. There are other things as well. You can drag a bunch of things. You can hit Control G to group that. You can hit Control Shift G to ungroup those elements. So even though these keyboard shortcuts are usually things you can find up in the menu, every now and then you'll find one that's not in the menu. For example, if you wanted to resize something instead of from the corner, from the center outwards, you could use that Alt or Option key in combination, and then you're resizing from the center. So sometimes they do add functionality, but usually there's things you can find in the menus anyways, but they do save you time, and that's the important thing. It may be just a couple seconds here or there, but when you start to stack it together across the project, you can really end up saving a lot of time. And so I've actually put all my favorite keyboard shortcuts into a free PDF, so you can check out that link below. The next tip I have is taking advantage of the brand kit just to have easy access to all your brand assets. So here you are on the home screen. So if I scroll up on this side menu, you have this brand kit option. So if I click on that, then suddenly I have a place where I can upload logos. I can set my brand colors. I can set my brand fonts. So all these things that I might want to have easy access to while I'm working on a Canva project. The other thing I'll mention as a bonus tip, even though this says brand logos, you can put images in here. So if you have images that are part of your branding that you want to have easy access to, you can upload those as well under brand logos. Now let's see how this works on the back end here when we go in, we actually go to make a design here on the front end. So if we're in here, then suddenly we want to come here and we want to change this text, then suddenly under this text menu, I'll see all my brand fonts. If I want to change color, then suddenly I have easy access to all my brand colors. And then finally, let's say I want to throw this out and I want to access those logos I uploaded. Then if we come here, let me just show you where I got to this screen here. So down here at the bottom, you have this logos menu. You click on that, you'll see all your logos. You can add something in really easily. So your brand kit, just a great way to come in and very quickly access all those brand assets that you have. So take advantage of the brand kit. This tip is for how to create official design templates in Canva. for designs you might want to use over and over. Now let's look at the example on screen. You might set something up like this, and then you might want to just be able to drag in new photos and reuse this again and again. So let's talk about how you would set up official template. Of course, you're going to create your design file, have it all set up the way you want it, but then when it comes to launching this file, let me just go back here and find that screen here. So here's where this design is. This is this 4-image Pinterest template. Of course, I could use these 3 buttons and I could make a copy, but there's a better, quicker way to do this. In other words, if I were to come in here and just click on this to launch this pin here, or this design template, the problem is that then when I make changes, I'm working on the actual file itself. So if I make changes and I start moving things around, maybe I want the original version. I wanted it to just launch a copy. So you could use that make a copy trick. However, you can actually publish something as a template. So for this trick here, you would set up your design any way you want it. So maybe in here you would actually leave the frames blank if you wanted to, or you could have those image placeholders, whatever. You'd get your design all set up the way you want it. But then when you actually come to publish this, then you're going to go under the publishing options and you actually want to look in here for template. You can actually publish things as templates. So if I choose this option now, it's going to say publish your design as a template for your team to use, and then you can actually come in here and choose a folder. So for this one, I will go in and I'll put this under Pinterest templates and I'll go ahead and click add, and then you can see publish template, yes, and it's going to say now that you've created a template, your team can easily create brand designs every time, and so you can view your template. So if I just click view template, it's going to take us back to that folder we were just in. And so here within that folder, now within the folder, I see my designs and I see my templates. Now the difference is if I just click on this one down here, which was the original, it's going to open that original. If I click on this, it is nice because now it's letting me know I can use this as a template, which is what I want to do, or I can edit the original. And there's also an easy way to share it. It shows me the share link. But if I use this as a template, then what it does is it spawns a copy of that original design. So now I'm working on a copy so I can make any updates I want here. I still have a great starting point, but I'm not overwriting that original template. So hopefully that makes sense, and that's how to use templates as part of a team or just on your own as a great way to save time, and it also gives you a way to make sure you're protecting that original template file. Let's just talk about folders for a second, because folders are a great way to organize all of your Canva designs. So from the home screen, I'm just going to jump over to all your folders here. And of course, you can create new folders. You can organize projects into your folders however you like. But let's just jump into a folder and see a few more of the options. So I'll jump into this food photos folder. That's hard to say. So here maybe I'm keeping all of my food photos for use in various designs, but let's talk about a few more options within the folder. When you're within a folder now, you have these 3 dots and you can add a banner to your folder. So when you click on that add banner, it's just going to bring up a Canva design. You can access all the normal elements you would. And so maybe I just want to add this food photo like that and click save. And then what it's going to do, it's going to prepare that design and it's going to use this design as a banner element for this folder. So that's pretty cool. It is visually pleasing. It lets me know right away, another cue as to what folder I am in, but maybe it's not all that useful. So let's talk about something that maybe is useful. We have this star button right here, and you're going to see this in any folder, and you can star that folder and add it sort of to your favorite starred folders, or you can turn it off. So what are we actually doing when we do that? So if I come over here to this left menu here, you can see that all my starred items show up here under this menu. So you can see now when I click this, it turns this folder on and off. And that actually is very useful, because whenever you're within folders like this, if you want to drag and drop images, you can just click on a Canva design within here, and you can just move it to any of these starred folders. So it is very useful to be able to star certain folders on and off. It just helps you saving time when you're organizing what projects are within what folders. Now another great way for moving things, you'll notice that each of these, if I hover over these, I have these little check boxes, so I can select a whole bunch of these at once. And maybe if I want to move all of these to a new project folder, I can just do that. I can trash them right here if I'm getting rid of them. I can also choose a folder and I can move them to any folder. So folders, another great way to just organize all your designs within Canva. The next tip is adding text effects. For a long time, Canva users wanted to be able to quickly do things like add drop shadows, and there just wasn't an easy way to do it. But now it's really easy. You just click on the text element. You're going to go up to this effects menu here, and then you're going to have options like shadow lift and all these other options. So let me just show you this drop shadow. And then you can come in here and you can change the settings. So you can do the offset. You can control which direction the light's coming from. And then, of course, if you want to blur it, make it softer. So you have all these cool options. I'm not going to go over all the other styles, but you have some other text styles in here. I'll just click through a few of them real quick. So now you do have these cool options. And then you also have a shape option if you want to make your text curved. So we just come down here with this curve, and then you can really quickly make it curve this way, make it curve that way. So these are all text effects that you can now very easily add in Canva. Just click on your element, come up to this effects menu right here. Another trick which a lot of people don't realize you can easily do with Canva is build QR codes into your design. Now, if you don't know what a QR code is, it's something that if you print it out on something, people can then scan it in with their phone and it will take them to a predefined website. So you can imagine how this would be a great thing on your business card to send somebody to your business website, or an event flyer if you're trying to send somebody to a site to get even more information. So let's look at how easy it is to build a QR code into your design. So let's imagine we wanted to put a QR code here onto this part of the business card that we were going to print out. What you would do is you would come over to this left menu. You want to find this more option down below, and this is where you can add even more integrations. And what you want to do is search up here for QR, and you'll find this QR code app that you can integrate with. So you're going to click on that, and then basically you're just going to put in the URL. So for this example, I'm just going to paste in the URL to this YouTube channel you're watching right now. So I'll paste that in. I'll go ahead and click generate code, and just like that, it generates this QR code. So I can resize this. I can put this down here into my design. Now, to show you that this does work, I'm going to go ahead and switch now over to recording on my phone, and I'm going to show you that this does work. So now we're looking at my phone. So I'm going to open this QR reader, and I'm just going to point it up at my screen over top of that code, and you're going to see that yes, it does launch to my YouTube channel. So this does work, and it's just another way to add value to your designs. It's going to work on those printed designs in the real world, and as we just showed, it's going to work on a screen design if somebody points their phone to the screen. So adding QR codes, another great tool you can add to your Canva bag of tricks. The next tip is just to take advantage of all the new line style options within Canva. It used to be a little hard to stylize a line in Canva, but now it's really easy. Just click on the line itself, and then you're going to see all these options here in the upper left. So you can come in here, you can do things like change the color. Then with the next option, very easily you can come in here and just drag and change your line width. Next option is just different line styles you can choose between. And then finally you have these options for, do you want some sort of endpoint on that line? And you have a bunch of different options in here just for styling the end of the line. So very easy, all those line styling options. Then you can do all the normal stuff. You can still drag it around. You can still rotate it from the center here, or you can grab any of the endpoints and you can just drag, resize, rotate based on those endpoints. And one final tip would be, if you want to constrain those rotation angles by 15 degrees, just hold down your shift key. Then as you drag, you're going to see it snap to those 15-degree increments. So very easily to get a vertical line, horizontal line, I should say, or a vertical line, or anything in between in those 15-degree increments. So those are all the new line styling options within Canva. Take advantage of them. The next tip is just to take advantage of rulers and guides as needed. So when you're in any project, you can come here under the file menu. You can turn on things like print bleed, margins, guides, rulers. What I'm going to talk about is just the rulers here. So if I turn on rulers, you see I actually just turned them off there. But again, show rulers, I can turn them on at any time, and then I'll get these two rulers at the sides of my projects. I can also use Shift R on my keyboard to turn those on and off. And when they're on, you just have to come up over top of it, and then you can drag down and drag a guide into your document. So very easy to just drag a guide. If you want to reposition it, just hover over top of it, move it to wherever you want, and then it gives you these really easy to see guides where you can then click on any of your page elements and it will snap over to that ruler. So again, rulers just give you another way of controlling your layout, another way of aligning things in your projects, so use them as needed. The next tip is just the ability to really easily add some simple animation to your designs. So here I am creating an Instagram story, and so if I click on any individual element, I now have this animate button up here. If you just click on that animate button, you're going to see a bunch of different animation options here, and if I just hover over them, then I can get a preview of what that animation is going to be. And if I click on any of these, I can apply whichever sort of animation I want. And the other thing I'll note about this is if you click on an individual element, you'll notice here it says text animations. If I clicked on the photo, it would say photo animations, and you have some slightly different animations based on what you chose. So the photo animations are a little bit different. However, you also have this page animations options. So on any element, if you click over to page animations, then suddenly you can apply this to the whole page. So if I click on that, it's applying it to the whole page. So I could go to the second page and click an element, and again, apply something to the whole page, and then very easily, just like that, if I play this, I've come in and just with a couple clicks, you can add a little bit more animation to your design. So when you're doing something like Instagram stories, it's just a little bit more engaging for the viewer. So again, simple animations in Canva, they're really easy to do. This next trick is what I just call the easy one-click website, and that's the ability to create a simple website here with Canva. So if I go in here and I type in website, you see I can choose website, and then suddenly I can launch a website project. So blank project, I'll just start with a blank project, and then within here I can look at some templates. Now the caveat for this is going to be, you're not going to use this for a website you want advanced functionality for. You're not going to use this for a website where you want to gain search traffic over time. This is going to be a website hosted by Canva, but it will work for a simple informational driven site, whether it's something for an event, something where you're just trying to get information out there and you don't want to spend a lot of time. You can use this tool and create something that will work for you. So let's see if I just went in here and I searched the templates for things like event. Let's see what comes up. So I could come down here and see some of these different things. But so you could click any one of these as a starting thing. So I'll just apply all 5 pages. Obviously you would come in here, update graphics and text with things that are appropriate. But that wouldn't take you a lot of time because everything is sort of ready and set up in these easy to see pages. You would just go in, start with this template and fill it out with your own information, and then click this publish as website button. And now when you do that, you have a couple different options. So you could create it as a presentation. So I'll go ahead and open that to show you what that's going to look like. So I will click on open website here. And what it's going to do is create this simple one-page presentation style here, where people could come to this and they could go through this. Now you could build in links here. So you could build in things that were then hot links out. So you could have them link to a page with more functionality. But this website itself is basically going to be a simple information driven site. So just keep that in mind. Other options, if you come down here to the publishing, let me just go back under here, choose publish as website. You can also do these other standard website, classic navigation or scrolling. I'll just show you the scrolling real quick. I'm not going to show you all the options, but again, very simple, just like that. One click, you make your couple adjustments to the template, obviously, and then you have a simple website that you could send out. Now it is going to have a link like this, so you might want to use something like bit.ly to shorten that URL or change it to something different, because they are ultimately going to come to this Canva site. So again, this is not for all things, but for a really simple site that you want to be able to get information out there, maybe an upcoming event or something like that, this still is a useful tool. The next tip is the ability to add hyperlinks to your design so that then the text that you hyperlink from or the image that you hyperlink from then will go out to a new location. So this is not going to work if you then go ahead and save something as a PNG or an image file, but anything like a PDF or even this website example, which I just talked about, you could add a hyperlink. So let me show you what I mean. So I'll go ahead in here and I'm going to create a subheading here, and I'll just bring this down. And I'll just call this something like info form. So info form. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to link out. So let me show you that I have also this simple contact form, which I just set up with Google Forms. So you might have something like this where you're collecting information for people. And so then this has an option here. If I were to come under here, I can grab the link. So I could grab this link. So I'll just go ahead and copy that link out to this form. And let me jump back over. So I have that link now. If I click on my text, I can come in here and I can add this as a hyperlink. So again, let me click on the text, and then I'm going to find this little hyperlink option up here. I'm going to paste that link and hit apply. And just to show you that you can do it to an image as well, I'll go ahead here, I'll click on this. Again, I see this hyperlink option again. I'll click V to go ahead and paste that in there and apply. And so now if I were to publish this as a website, and I'll choose a scrolling website, and I'll go ahead and open that website, I just want to show you, like I mentioned before in the last tip, that now in here you can link out to something with more functionality. So if I click on that info form, it's going to tell me continue to external site, yes, and now it's going to open that info form. Now just to show you that the image did work as well, I'll click on that and again continue to external site, and there we go. So adding hyperlinks is just one more way you can take advantage of Canva so you really get the most out of your designs. The next trick is taking advantage of the one-click background remover. So I have this image on screen here. So if I click on this, now under the effects menu up here, I have this background remover. And if you just click that, it's going to automatically use artificial intelligence to try to remove the background. So this works well on subjects where the background isn't that complicated. If you have a super complicated subject, it's probably not going to work too well, but if it's a reasonable background, then usually with one click you can remove the background just like that. So that's pretty cool, and this opens up all sorts of new design possibilities because now I can save this off as a PNG with transparency. I can use it in other designs. I can put a design effects behind it. So the background remover is a cool tool. So this next trick comes in two parts. I'm going to show you how you can take regular images and you can sort of bend them to sort of what you want to do. So just to show you, I want to put sort of like an orange circle blur behind her to sort of highlight her and make her stand out. So if I come under images here, you can see before I downloaded and I found this orange thing, but I'm just going to go through the whole process here. So I searched for orange, I found this image here, I brought it over to screen, I positioned it where I wanted it to be behind her. But then before I do that, use this adjust menu here. And you can really use this adjust menu in here to come and mess with your photos. And so what I'm going to do is just take the blur all the way down. Now this starts to give me the sort of look I want. And now if I were to position this behind her, suddenly I'm getting that spotlight look that I want. However, there's a problem. If I click off of her, because the bounds of this document were really tight, I get this clear hard edge line at the edge, which I don't want. So let me just show you the workaround for this. This is where the second part comes in. So I'm going to click this again to bring it over. Now I'm just going to bring it down to this next page and put it on this page, get it roughly where I want it to be. And so you're going to get it roughly where you want to be. And now for this trick is simply download something as a transparent PNG and then re-upload it to Canva. Because when it has the tight bounds like this object has here, and I can't really change those cropping bounds, so in other words, there's not a way to come in here and push this to be a crop value that I want. So Control Z. So in other words, I need to download this whole thing. So I'm going to get this whole page. I just want page 2. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to download, and I'm just going to choose page 2. And I'm going to set it to right here, a PNG with transparent, and I'll go ahead and download that. And I'm going to save that off as a PNG. Now I actually already did this, so I'm going to show you the results here. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of this because I already did this and I've uploaded for you to see the results. I'll get rid of the one we have in here. So that tab trick to find this background image, I'll delete that. And now under my uploads, here's the one I uploaded that has the transparency. And you can see the way it's got the wider bounds now. So now watch what happens if I come up here, and I'll start by just sending it backwards. So position, I'll send it backwards in the stack, but then I'm going to come under adjust and I'm going to use that blur trick again. And now look, I can even resize that blur and position it where I want. And suddenly now I really am getting that look that I want, that ability to create a highlight. So that's a two-part trick. It's using this adjust menu here to blur things out or change them in ways where they work with your image graphically. And then the second part is downloading as a PNG, using that download as a PNG trick to go ahead and download things, save them with transparency, and then bring them back into Canva. And when they have these larger bounds, suddenly you can do that blur trick where you'll notice if I click off that, I'm not seeing any of those edges I was seeing before. Building upon the last few tips, this tip is just to think creatively. Sometimes to make things work in your design, you really have to think outside the box and understand what's possible when you know how to use all the tools in Canva. This poster is a really good example because none of these elements really work together until I push them with Canva to get the look I wanted. So let's just look at these for a couple real quick just to show you what I mean. So for example, this picture of this mountain, if I come in here and reset, it actually wasn't at all what I wanted before I went in here and did some adjusting here under this adjust menu. I'll hit Control Z to undo that. A couple other elements in here. The actual elf archer here himself. This actually was not even an image that I could do this. This was actually vector artwork, and so I didn't have this adjust menu, so I had to first export this guy and then bring him back in as a PNG. Then suddenly with the PNG menu I could come in here and adjust him, because before this he just looked like that, and that wasn't at all what I wanted with this. One more thing within here, if I just come to get to this sort of dark circle behind everything, this sort of this bluish glow, probably not what you think it's going to be when I come in here and reset. It's actually just a image of the sun. Again, I was just able to come in here, save it as a PNG, and then once I came in here and I took the saturation out of it and I brought up the blur, then suddenly I could make it look like I wanted to look in this design. So again, stay creative, think outside the box, because you can do more than you initially think if you just stay creative. My next tip is just to do smart searches using the search filters that are available. So for example, in this photo here, let's say I'm doing this Bark in the Park flyer and I want another dog picture. Now the first choice I would have to decide is whether I want to come under elements or I want to come under photos. And there is a slight difference. So if you come under elements here, I could then come up here and I'll type this in again. So I could search for dogs, and it's going to return everything related to dogs. And in this menu here, it's making some other suggestions of things that are close to your search. But then also up here, you can limit it to just photos. You can limit it to graphic elements, or you can look and see what videos they have. So you have all these ways to sort of filter your search. Now over here, you even have even farther ways to filter your search. So if I come back under photos and then I want to filter these photos even farther, I can come down here and I have color options, or I can bring back just the vertical photos. I can bring out back animations. I can bring back things that are free, things that are pro. I can apply all those filters. I'm going to clear them for now. So you have to use clear all to clear them, but just know you have all these different options. Now I just wanted to show you that it does matter slightly whether you're under elements or you start under photos, because when I come under here, we don't see an option down here for cutouts. However, if you start within photos and then you're searching just within photos and you search for something like dogs, then if I clear these filters, I do have this cutouts only option, and now it's going to return just the cutouts. And of course, the other thing, which is hopefully obvious, but also be as specific as you can be. So if you're searching for a poodle, then actually type in poodle rather than a more generic term like dogs. And these are all the poodle cutouts. Of course, if I wanted to see all the poodle assets and not just the cutouts, I could just turn that off, apply that, and then I'm getting all these options here. So that's searching within Canva. Make sure you make use of the different search menus you can come under, and also all the search filters you have available to narrow your search results. The next trick is uploading directly from your camera roll on mobile. So click that blue plus icon on the bottom, and then you can scroll through this menu and you see you have all sorts of options. So you see camera roll, and then you have other folders and backgrounds, all sorts of options. So I'm going to choose camera roll, and then I can actually upload things directly from my camera roll. And so this is useful because lots of times you'll store things in your camera roll that you downloaded from somewhere else, and just of course also adding pictures. So here I'm just going to throw a picture of my dog in here, and so that's as easy as it is to add a picture from your camera roll on mobile. Of course, you can use all the other features, background remover, all that stuff, but you can upload directly from your phone, your camera roll, and into Canva. My next tip is just to take advantage of the great free color resources Canva has, and you'll find those at canva.com colors. So they have some great free tools. They have a palette generator, they have color palette ideas, they have a color wheel, and then just a section on color meanings. So let's go through these real quick. With the palette generator, you can just come in here, you can upload an image, and it will build a color palette based on that image, so that is useful. And then also there's some other ideas down here. And then if you go to color palettes, again, the next tab, you just can search by keyword, search by theme, and it will return lots of great color results. You can click on one of those, and then it'll bring you up to that color palette, and you can take that palette back to your project. Same thing with color wheel. With color wheel, you just define a base color here. Let me just go back to the initial page here. So it looks like this. So you pick a color. So you can just click anywhere on the color wheel here. You can pick that initial color, and then it'll build out complementary colors. It'll build out monochromatic colors. So based on what you select down here, you can build out and find some great design pairings to use in your next project. So that's very helpful. And then also the last one is just, let me go back a section here. This is the color meanings page. So if you go to color, the last tab, which is this color meanings, then you can just search for a color name, or you can search down here, and if you find a color, you can click on a color, you can read more about that color. So if you're not sure of a color meaning and whether it makes sense for a design project, you can read a little bit more about that color in here, and it's just another nice color resource. So again, you'll find all this at canva.com colors, so take advantage if it's going to be helpful to you. Next tip is a quick one, and it's just to take advantage of the other integrations you're going to find under this More tab when they're ones that might make sense for you and save time. So I'll click this More tab. We saw before in an earlier tip the QR code and how advantageous that can be, but there are other services under here like Google Drive. You can connect to your Google Drive account, to your Facebook account, to your Instagram, to your Dropbox, so you have images from there that you want to pull directly into Canva. It's going to save you some time if you integrate up here, so take advantage of this More tab and add any integrations that make sense for you. The next tip is just taking advantage of the photo effects menu. So we've seen the way if you have text, you can come up here and add effects like drop shadow. You have something similar if you come under a photo where you have this effects menu up here. So that's where you're going to find the background remover we talked about. But you also have all these other third-party integrations where you can try these different things that are going to let you do different things or add different styles directly to that photo. So I'm not going to go through all these, but I'll just show you, for example, if you did want to do drop shadow, I've integrated with this one shadows sort of integration. If I come in here, then suddenly I have these different types of shadows I can apply. So if I just want a regular drop shadow, I could add something like that. And then you'll see this little settings icon, and I can come under there and I can change the offset. I can change the transparency level, I can change the blur amount. So all these little things, again, maybe take the transparency down. So again, all these things you find under this effects menu when you ever have a photo selected. So just check it out, check out some of the different integrations, try them out, and there may be some that extend your design possibilities and your creativity, so check it out. The next tip is a small thing, but it can be super useful, and it's just the ability to change all instances of a color at once. So if we look at this design layout here, we have a couple different pages, and they all make use of this green. This is sort of the color theme in here. And so you have these green bars, you have these green here. And so if I wanted to change that color to a different color scheme, it would be helpful to not be able to do all these individually and be able to do it all at once. Well, there is actually a way to do that. So if you just click on one of the options here, then you come up here to change the color. And then if you click a new color here, then you'll see this change all option show up down here. And if I choose that change all, then suddenly, just like that, it changes all instances of those colors all at once. Now you may notice that this changed here and it looks like it's a different color, but if we come in here, it's actually a color that's exactly the same. The transparency was just set down. So that's the way you can even have different color shadings in your design change if it is just an element with transparency. Now if it is a different color like this one is down here, then it's not going to change, but all instances of that color will change if you use that color change and then use that change all button that shows up at the bottom. So that's helpful and that can save you a lot of time. My next tip is just using grids within Canva when you want to do slightly more advanced layouts. Now, if you want to do super advanced layouts and advanced typography layouts, then Canva might not be the program. But if you want to do stuff like this or something that's a little bit beyond the basic, you can certainly do that within Canva. Now, let me just show you an example. Well, here's two that I did, but let me show you an example real quick of how you would do this. So I'm just going to add a page, and then I want to maybe set up a simple 3-column layout. So I would come under Elements here, and I have searched for grids, but let me turn that off just to show you. You'll see grids down here in your Elements options. So if you do See All, you'll see some different grid options. I'm going to choose this 3-column one. I'll position it so it spans exactly across the page. I don't need that spacing in between, so I'll come up under spacing. I'll get rid of that. And now I'm going to change the color of these, so you can change the color of them individually. So I'll set this one to white, this one in the center, we'll just make that black, and this one over here we will make white. Now I have that the way I want it, so I'm just going to lock that so it becomes just an element I can't move, and it's not going to mess me up when I'm adding other elements. So then we just need a basic title and layout in the first 2 columns, so maybe I'll add a heading. We'll size this heading down. We'll bring it over here. Again, I'm doing this pretty quickly. You could take whatever time you need, but I'll add a heading here. And then we'll add some basic body text. So a little bit of body text. Now I already have some that I've sort of copied from Lorem Ipsum. So that's just where you get some dummy text. So this is just dummy text, just placeholder text for this example. So I'll come in here, I'll take that down a ways, and we'll go ahead and we will come in here and we'll sort of block align that like that. So we'll make sure it's sort of centered under my heading. And then that's the same thing I'm going to do in the center column here. So all this I need to center a little bit better here. So let's see. Let me just nudge it over with my arrow keys, make sure it's sort of centered. But then I'm going to Alt, click, drag a copy out, hold down Shift to keep it aligned, bring it to the center, come in here, change it to white. So now I have those two columns. And now in this third column, let's say maybe I want a couple photos and then sort of some caption. So again, I would go back to my grids. So again, back to elements, I'm going to grab this single grid. I'll click on that grid, but I can resize it down with these handles to anything I want. So I want it to fit nicely within this column here. So let's bring it down a fair amount. Something like that. Something like this. And so then I could just Alt-click, drag a copy down. Again, take whatever time you need to get the spacing the way you want. Come in and put some photo placeholders, whatever photos you're going to use, throw them in there. That's fine. And then I could add another little caption down here or something, but I'm not going to do that. You get the idea. Very quickly, I could lay out this 3-column grid, and it was helpful to have that grid tool just to very quickly be able to control my spacing and be able to get things set up so they look pretty good. So that's using grids to set up advanced layouts. It's a nice tool. Take advantage of it. My next tip is just be willing to step outside of Canva when there's a better tool for the job. Sometimes I'll see people in Canva just spending a lot of time doing crazy things, lots of steps to create something, some special effect, where really if you just step outside of Canva to another program, it's going to be way easier. It's going to be something that's not going to take you so much time. So just to give you an example here, with this element here, this element on the bottom of the screen, this sort of pixel radial effect, that is something I did inside of another program. Now you could do something like this inside of Photoshop. I actually did this particular one in a program called Photopea or Photopea. I'm not sure how you say it, but I'll put the URL up on screen. And the reason why I'm recommending this to Canva users is because it is like a lightweight version of Photoshop, and the tools you have in here are really impressive, and they're going to fill in a lot of gaps in terms of things like masking and gradients and things that Canva's not great at. You can step over to this other program, have all these other tools, and this is a free program, by the way. You can pay for a version that doesn't have ads, but there's a free version that has basically all the same tools, and you can start to do some of these more advanced special effects or whatever you want to call it, and then export elements out of here, bring them back into Canva, take advantage of Canva and what Canva is good at, but don't get caught up in Canva trying to do things Canva is not great at, because it's great at so many things, but there are other things when you get into advanced compositing, advanced photo editing, that's where sometimes you might want to find another piece of software. And so this Photopea, photopea.com, I think that is a great tool for Canva users just to sort of add to their bag of tricks and have another tool that's really going to help you with those advanced effects. With this final tip, I think I've perhaps saved the best for last, because this last tip is you now have the ability to schedule all of your social media content directly within Canva with their new content planner. So for a while, Canva has had the ability to schedule directly to Facebook and other social media platforms. So when you go to your publish options, for a while under here, if I come down and I look at my different options, you have Facebook pages, you have Facebook groups, you have Pinterest, you have business for Instagram, personal Instagram accounts, and so on and so on. And this works, but now they've taken it even farther where they've built out a full social media scheduler where not only can you schedule current content, publish current content, but you can schedule all your future content across all these different platforms. And if you're on the homepage of Canva, you'll now see this new content planner. And this content planner is what I think is going to be an absolute game changer for a lot of people, not only to create your social media marketing within Canva and organize it in folders, but then you can schedule it all out. And I'm talking about schedule it out not only for this month, but for months in the future, whatever makes sense for you. So here is how it works. All you're going to do here is you're going to come in on the calendar. First of all, you can, of course, publish from here, just something right on the fly. But if you want to schedule out future content, you come over to this content planner. And then you go on here and you find that future date when you want to add content, and then you just use this little plus icon you're going to see in the corner here. You can navigate through the different months up here. But then when you find the month and the day where you want to schedule out content, just hit this plus icon. You're going to see all your recent designs. If I want to schedule a recent design, I can just click on it, and then it's going to let me choose here the date and time I want to publish. So again, it's going to, by default, whatever date you were on, when you hit that little plus icon, it starts with that, but you can come in here and change it. You can update the time, you can update that, then you'll hit done when you're done. And then you select a channel. So you have to hook up all your channel. I have my Facebook channel hooked up here, but you can hook up all of these other channels. So you can choose your LinkedIn profile, Instagram business, Facebook, your Twitter account, Facebook groups, Pinterest, Tumblr, you can publish to any of these platforms. All you have to do is follow the simple steps for connecting to that platform, which it will give you, and then you are able to publish directly to those platforms and schedule your content for the future to publish, and it will publish automatically on the date and time you set it up for in the scheduler. Now it's worth noting that right now you can only publish to Instagram business accounts. You can't publish to creator accounts, but I think maybe that's something they'll work out in the future where you have those other options. But right now, just Instagram for business, but then you have Facebook, you have Pinterest, you have Twitter. So all the major platforms I think that most people are going to be using for their content marketing, you have here. So you schedule it for the platform. So let's just say I choose my existing channel here. I go ahead, I can save a draft if I'm just in draft mode, or I can write out, here's my tagline or whatever I want to say about the post, and then I can schedule that post, and it's going to go ahead and it's going to schedule that, and it's going to put that on your calendar, and you'll be able to see in the content calendar that this is now scheduled to Facebook, and this is the post. And if you want to come back and you want to go through and you want to look at your content calendar and you want to make changes, all you would do is click on it. And then I can come in here and I can see this is scheduled to go out on Saturday, June 19th to this platform. Here's my caption. And I can go ahead at this point, if I want to get rid of this, I can come in here. I can change the date or time. I can edit the design. I can make a copy, or I can delete the post. So if I delete it, it's going to disappear and it's no longer scheduled. But you can come through and you can schedule out all your content this way, and it is an absolute game changer, especially for anyone that's using Canva already to organize and publish to social media, but now you can schedule out all your future content. Let me show you something else that's really cool. If I want to create a post, I showed you that you can schedule from these recent things, but you can also just choose your library, and then if you organize by folder, so maybe you organize by, a certain time of year, or maybe you have your monthly marketing folders. However you organize your marketing, if you have it organized within here, combining that with then the ability to come in here and go within a specific folder and then schedule out that content, it's going to make your marketing just really the seamless process. It's going to save you a lot of time, and this can really be something that just is a game changer for a lot of people. So that's my final Canva tip. That is using the new content planner to schedule out all your social media. And that is it. We have made it to the end of this video. Thank you so much for hanging in there and watching. I really hope you learned something. If you did, please share this with others so they can learn as well. And don't forget to subscribe below so you can see future content. Thanks again. See you soon.